All right. It is December 2nd. This is our design review committee meeting. 1141 Bennington Street will not be presenting this evening as they're still going through the BPDA process and awaiting scope and DPIR. We have 95 Barnes Ave up for review tonight. Looks like that's adding some dormers and a roof deck. If you'd like to share your screen, you can go ahead, Lorene.
Yep.
Thank you.
Can you guys see that? I'm going to put it into full screen now.
Yep.
Oh, okay. So those of you that don't know me, my name is Lorene Scatino. I'm actually covering for Richard tonight. So
it looks like it got your screen froze. I'm sorry. It's like it's still showing like part of the window where the slide was, but now there's like a lot of white space around it. It looks like your cursor turned to a little watch thing and then it froze.
Yeah, and then it went on my screen. Let me stop share and try it again.
Okay.
I haven't seen that watch icon since 1995.
I can assure you it's a new computer. How about now?
It looks good now.
Okay. Okay, so again, my name is Lorene Scatino. I am covering for Richard tonight. So those of you that know that this will probably be a little quicker. I am representing Derek and Chelsea Dolan. They've been residents of East Boston for about 10 years now. They purchased this home at 95 Barnes Ave a couple years back and have been slowly remodeling it as they plan to remain here with their family. They have a bulldog named Winston, and they just wanted any of their neighbors to know that that's them, because they said that that might be how they're recognized in the neighborhood. So the plan, again, it's an owner-occupied two-family dwelling, and the proposal would be to renovate and expand the attic space to be part of Unit 2. It would basically involve erecting dormers to give them a new master suite with a roof deck, and the roof deck would be only accessible to Unit 2, which would be the owner-occupied unit. So just by way, quickly to show you the location, again, right in when you come, one of the first houses onto Barnes Ave. Again, just a different view. This is the BPDA abstract. This is actually in a 2F 4000 neighborhood and a 3F 2000 neighborhood, but they would go to the hotter zoning district. So just some more site context. This is the street view. Just going up the street, it's closer to the dead end portion of Barnes Ave. And again, just a separate view of the home. And another view. So this is the view that's showing the renderings of the added dormers. So the idea is to bump out the dormers on the sides, similar to they are in the front and the back. The idea is to get a siding, while this might not be the exact finish they're going for, the idea is to get a finish that's going to blend in with the existing roofscape. They didn't really want to re-side the whole house, as they like the existing, older shingling that's on there, and they don't want to have to change that. So the idea is to try to blend it in as much as possible. So this is the existing other side, and then with the added dormer on the other side, and then showing the roof deck. Just a quick view of the site. So just showing the location of the house. This is just the existing, basically what's there now. It's a half finished attic that has some bedrooms up there. And the plan would be to, again, if you look here, it would be to make a complete master suite with a master bathroom, closet, bedroom, with some storage, and adding the laundry room actually upstairs, because currently the laundry room is in the basement. And that's a little difficult when you're on the top level with tenants below. And this is just the idea of the roof deck. It's going to be accessed by hatch, so no head house. And some just different views of the existing elevations and the proposed elevations. So again, dormering out the two sides with the roof deck.
Lorraine, hello,
Yep.
hello. Yeah, where you showed the pictures and like the actual house and you had the actual dormer look. Do
This
you
one?
have? Yeah, like, yeah. So, all right. So I see the roof deck there now. Is it just going to be just screened like that? Just kind of almost a see-through whatever?
Yep. So the idea would be, and this again would go to BPDA design review. So yeah, the idea would be to keep it as seamless and screened as possible. So I'll just go back to the zoning. Right now, we would require just a few variances. One would be height, because this is a 2.5-story district. Adding the dormers, because they would be used for habitable space, basically turns it into a 3-story building, but it's still going to remain at 32 feet tall, 32 feet 3 inches to be exact, but 3 stories. We would need a variance on that. The roof deck is conditional because you need a conditional permit, a conditional use permit to have a roof deck. And this would be subject to iPod because we're changing the outside facade of the building. So those would be the variances that are required. Where we are in the process, this is our very first initial meeting. We're here today at the Orient Heights subcommittee. We would anticipate in a butters meeting. We put TBD because we're just not certain with the mayor's office when they would be scheduling these. We don't know if they're going to schedule them in December or if it's going to be waiting until January. We would anticipate a January Orient Heights voting meeting. Potentially December. I mean, that's up to you guys. We would think that this would be ready to go to the zoning board sometime in the winter of 2022. Again, all dependent on the board's schedule. This would be subject to BPDA design review, so that would also happen during the winter of 2022. If this were to be approved, permit issuance sometime in the spring, and construction beginning in the spring of 22, and it would be relatively quick construction, about four months or so. With that, I can take any questions.
And the abutters, do they have any issues?
I actually have a question and an issue. Chris Tringali, I'm at 119 Barnes Ave, which is, as you may or may not be familiar, a fairly new condo that was put there. They tore down a single family home and put in the condo. And the builders of this development that I live in were prevented from putting a 4th floor on. In fact, they originally, I'm told, wanted to make it a 5-story, and then they were pulled back to only doing a 2-story. And they would not allow to do a 3rd or a 4th story. They ultimately did sneak a 3rd floor master suite on the back of the building. But if they want, I have no problem with them doing dormers, doing renovations. I have a huge problem with them adding another level with the deck. And I think that if the neighbors and the butters realized that that's what their plan was, that there would be more people here and there would be more people opposed to it. I talked to 2 neighbors, in fact, today, and they said, oh, they're just going to put a couple of dormers on like they have on the front and back and maybe get rid of one of the dormers and that's where the deck will be. I said, I think you're going to find that the deck is going to be an additional story. And they said, oh, no, that's not good.
The deck is not an additional story. For zoning purposes, it absolutely is not. The deck sits on top of those dormers. So the dormers are just going to be coming out from the side, just like you see in this rendering, and the deck is just going to be here. So what you're seeing is the railing of the deck, and the idea is to keep a see-through finish of the deck. So you're not having, I understand, I think what you're saying, like you're thinking 1, 2, 3, and then like a 4th story.
Right.
No, the dormers are off to the side, which still keep it 3 stories. And again, we're still below the height requirement at 35 feet. Buildings in this area are allowed to be 35 feet, but 3 stories. 2.5 stories. Because these dormers would be considered habitable, then we're going into 3. We get cited for 3 stories.
I think, and I understand what you're saying. I think what will bother the abutters are 2 things. One, the size of dormers on both sides, the addition of such large dormers on both sides, and then the addition of the deck space on top. And I know it's per se not more space or not higher, but the appearance is for it to be a massive addition to a house because of the size of the dormers and the additional roof deck. I know if I were in that blue house next to them, I would not be happy about having to have that much of a large addition added onto that house. As being down the street, I may not like it, but it does not directly impact me, so I would not be vocal about my opposition. But I do not like the fact of a roof deck being put on top of the dormers.
Okay, thank you.
If it was going to be, get rid of the back dormer and have the roof deck out the back that way, that would be great. That would be, I would say go for it. But I just, it appears to be adding height and a large amount of structure to the house.
Yeah, for all intents and purposes, I think you're looking at it becoming a 3-fam, even though
Yeah.
it's not 3 families.
Yeah, that's
I mean,
Gail,
basically,
they're not, there is no intention to put another kitchen or anything. It's a master suite. There's, I can go back to the floor plan.
right. But it's
So
one
it's-
hell of,
No,
yeah,
no,
it's
but I
one hell,
mean, but it's
a-
built out. It's built out a lot, so.
yeah,
it
it's
looks
one
like-
hell of a, yeah, it's one hell of a master suite. The master suite's going to be 918 square feet.
So that's already, that includes everything, including the existing dormers, but so you'll have a master bedroom with a walk-in closet, a master bathroom, sort of like a powder area and a laundry room upstairs as well. As I mentioned, the laundry's in the basement, so the idea was to also bring the laundry upstairs. And this will all be part of unit 2 and not asking for a 3rd unit.
I have to tell you that renovated area, the new master suite, as you call it, that's almost as big as my entire condo. It's just a few square feet smaller than my entire condo.
I mean, for all intents and purposes, you're building out a big space. So, I mean, if truth be told, you could almost make that a separate unit.
Absolutely, because it's, as I say, almost the same size as my entire unit.
But that's not the intention, and that's not what it would be permitted for. It would be permitted as a 2-family, and the certificate of occupancy would maintain a 2-family unit. The only way to change that back to change it to a 3-family would be to go through this whole process again, which would trigger violations and other variances that would be needed. This is, the intent is to give them more space to allow their family to grow and to stay within the neighborhood that they love. They've been here for 10 years. They moved, I believe it was from Jeffrey's Point up to Orion Heights to get a little bit more space, some better parking. And now they're just trying to expand their unit to be able to grow their family. But, with the idea of also being able to keep a tenant to, help with the costs of some things and to stay in this neighborhood. So that's the idea behind this.
Well, Lorraine, not to be disrespectful, but it's a matter of semantics. I mean, it's a build out. So whether it's for 1 family, like I said, it could be technically a 3rd story and in a separate unit. I'm not suggesting you're putting a kitchen. I'm just saying it's a matter of semantics in terms of volume of space.
Okay, I can bring your comments back to the owners. And they wanted me to apologize for them not being able to be in attendance today. They actually had a wedding to attend to, that the festivities actually started tonight with the rehearsals and everything. But
Lauren,
they will be here at the next meetings.
Lauren, may I make a couple of observations?
Sure.
Just looking at the rendering, or really, it's not a rendering, it's more of a massing model that we're looking at here. Quite honestly, you're not doing your clients any favors, or probably the architect that has drawn this up isn't doing them any favors, because the cladding material on that 3rd story is not in any way in keeping with the architecture of the rest of the building. And I know that you explained early on in your presentation that the intent is to clad it in shingles or in a material that has the same appearance as the body of the existing building. But what we're looking at right now is just god awful. I mean, it looks terrible. And I can't assume that they're gonna clad this with Alcabond or zinc or, you know, another standing seam metal, or that could be board and batten material. I mean, obviously, they're gonna want to shingle that. If you're gonna present this to the wider community and you want people to look upon it, and judge it based on its merits and on the intended use of the homeowners, I think you'd do well to make sure that the architect that's drawn these plans up actually gives you drawings that represent what the building will actually look like.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
it's boxed out. It's not like your typical dormer look. So I think it's like just putting two boxes on the side of the building.
And Gail, to your point, in the interest of full disclosure, I own a home 6 houses away on Barnes Avenue. I'm at 61 and 63. And I may at some future point decide to do something very, very similar. But I can guarantee you all, it won't look like this at all.
Mm.
It will be in keeping with the geometry of the gables on the existing house.
So Mike, if I'm hearing you correct, you'd like to see perhaps a better rendering, showing the different materials, and the like.
So I'm gonna deign to assume that house looks like it's taken a beating over the years, and I know how expensive it is to paint the
That's
house.
so truth be told, these are old pictures from Google Image. I was actually out there. I fly the neighborhood myself, and it
Yep.
looks much better now. Much
Well, that's
better.
great. That's
Yeah.
great. So say that they've stained the house dark brown. And the intent is to keep the shingles, repair any that need to be repaired, but you know, it's going to be dark brown or tan or
No,
know,
the
wet
house is,
blue,
the
whatever.
house is still red. The idea was to keep the dormers, to sort of blend with the roof. That's why they were going for that coloring.
Right. No, fail.
Okay.
I'll go carry a sign in front of the house if that's their intent, is to have the dormers painted, stained, or anything else gray like the roof. If it's occupiable space, the building must read that it's occupiable space. The existing dormers on the building are stained the same color as the body of the house.
Okay.
Addition must be clad the same and be stained the same color.
I will bring your ideas
God,
back to them. And like I said, this would be subject to BPDA design review as well. So
I don't trust those people as far as I could throw them.
just letting you know.
Yeah, I think they're looking to our neighborhood comments, I would think.
Absolutely. That's why we're here.
So if you're carrying our design concerns or suggestions, I mean, I don't think they would oppose them, quite honestly,
Yeah.
but they shouldn't.
And
Okay.
you know, one other thing, I mean, I'm sensitive to the concerns of people that are direct abutters about having a roof deck up there. Personally, I'm not going to lose a wink of sleep if somebody's up there getting a tan or, you know, or whatever. That sort of thing doesn't bother me. What does bother me is when I see an addition to a pretty handsome example of local vernacular architecture that has survived without being slathered in aluminum or vinyl siding, turned into something that looks like it has a chicken coop growing on top of it. And again, I can understand why some folks would have some concerns about the roof decks. I don't have an issue with that.
Okay.
Well,
Any other
Mike.
questions?
Mike, in addition to the roof deck comment, I
Mhm.
think if people see a roof deck and it is, you know, has more filled in area by way of the structure,
Yep.
then there is a visibility issue that people tend to, you know, frown on. So,
Well,
I mean,
fair enough.
you're saying a chicken coop. I hear you, but
The addition looks like a freaking chicken coop. period. Full
Well,
stop.
Well, I know, but it's not as impactful in terms of sightlines.
I'm not
That's all.
sure.
Well, I mean, you're gonna basically, what they're, with the thin wiring or whatever it is they're going to use, I'm assuming it's unobtrusive, but you would see through it versus now you're looking at a deck, and that's like another impediment to your sightlines.
Right. I mean, I don't know what material they're going to use for the for the railing, you know, around the parapet up there. I mean, it looks to be. I mean, it could be framed in wood. It could be all metal. I mean, I think for code purposes, in a lot of cases, they use pretty robust, you know, pipe. Why is the word escaping me right now? The architectural term, but it's like a pipe railing type thing.
Mhm. Yeah.
I generally don't love how that sort of thing looks. You know, to be honest with you, if I were doing that on my own property, I'd make it out of wood and sheep and goat fence, and I'd plant vines on it, and it'd look beautiful. I'd have plants up there, at least seasonally.
I know, but I think the question is, are you going to impede a sight line? Or, you know, I mean, you now have like open space, so to speak,
Well,
on the roof.
Gail, you and I have disagreed about this for many years. We do not have a constitutional right to a view.
No, I think you do. I think you do. I think you do in terms of building.
I wish you luck with the Supreme Court.
No, I think people have won on that basis.
I think the big question here is whether or not he can put up a deck on top of his house when, you know, another developer was stopped down the street from putting a third floor on, which was, again, also within the height restrictions from what I'm told.
So I don't know the schematics of what went on with your development down the street at all, so I won't speak to it, but each development that requires variances within this neighborhood goes through the same process. Depending on when it was built is also dependent on the exact process. The design review committee is a newly established committee at this point. Orient Heights has always been there. From what I understand, there's always been an abutters meeting, so whatever went on with that, different things are triggered by, you know, the process. So I'm not going to speak to that, but each variance in each project is heard on its own merits and separately from each other. So just because one wasn't approved, I'm not saying that this would be or anything, but I'm just saying just because
Yeah.
one wasn't approved
Yeah.
doesn't mean that another person isn't allowed to go forward and
No,
put their
I
best foot
realize
forward.
that. And I don't know all the details because I didn't live here then. So I don't, but from what I get from the neighbors is that it was stopped because of the height and the neighbors objected. So it's the same neighbors, just the other end of the street. So there could be the same opposition.
Okay.
The other thing, we had the meeting, I think it was last month regarding, what is it, 20 Shawshene? Is that, or
I
70?
think it's 70. I think it's 70.
Oh, there's two Shawshenes going on. There's the one that is in behind between Barnes Ave and Saratoga. Then there's the one that's in where the oil company is now. What number is that?
That might be 20. I'm not sure.
I think that one's 20, 170 and one's 20.
No, it's the August Brothers site that
Right.
Was a few weeks ago.
Okay, the August
And I
Brothers
think
site.
yeah, I think it is two Shawshene.
Two
Yeah,
two
they'll be
Shawshene.
coming back in
Right.
January.
Well, what I was gonna say is that Derek was at that meeting, saying he was opposed to that and the development and everything else. Just as an observer, he's opposed to another site being developed, but yet he's here looking to do developing on his property. Just an interesting, or another perspective is, you can't develop over there, but I want to develop over here, or I want to do an extension over here, but I don't want an extension over there.
I mean, they are different scale.
Yeah,
And-
definitely in different scale. Oh, absolutely. I'm 1000% against the August Brothers site. This one, except for the roof deck, I don't really, have an opinion on.
I just think for design, if they could tone down those dormers,
Yeah, yeah.
there
the-
might be a
the-
lot less.
Yeah, yeah. The dormers need,
but-
yeah, the dormers need to look like have the same design and shape and style as the existing dormers and not be boxes.
Okay. I will let them know. And then Tony, I guess you'll tell me, you'll send some notes back as far as this meeting goes.
Sure. Yeah, I don't have a ton of notes because it's pretty brief, but I think the main concern was it not fitting in with like the existing gabled roof and then the cladding there.
Okay. I will
Yeah.
bring that to the owners.
Does anyone else have any comments they'd like to throw in?
No, I suppose it'd be wise to get more of the abutters, Lorraine. Because as this woman says down the street, I mean, they didn't know anything was really gonna be of that magnitude or not
I can't,
magnitude.
yeah, I can't speak to that, Gail. There'll be an abutters meeting and there'll be another, I mean, up to your process, but at least another Orion Heights meeting. And I know that I personally flyed this myself, so.
Yeah,
They did get the flyers, but the way it's worded, as I say, the two neighbors I talked to today thought there were just gonna be, another dormer or two added, or maybe the dormers on the side and then the back one was gonna be where the deck was. They did not realize the size and scope of the addition that was being made, of the changes being made.
If there aren't any additional comments, I can wrap up here and I'll send out the notes that I took to you, Lorene, as well as to everyone on Facebook and our email list.
Okay.
Did you want to come back in January again? Or
I
do you want to
didn't-
just
I
kinda
don't
wait
know
until we
what
get
your-
feedback from butters?
Yeah, I didn't know what your process was gonna look like. I didn't know, I know some community groups are not meeting fully this month. I know some are. It just depends on your organization, I guess.
Well, that would
the
be
next-
January, right?
Yeah, I think it's January 6th is the next design review.
So you'd want another design review and then potentially a voting January meeting?
Yep. Yeah, as long as we get it through in that January 6th meeting, then the regular OHNC meeting that month, we'll do a vote.
Any, just for my own education, is there a December voting meeting at all for Orion Heights or no?
We have like the regularly scheduled one, but there's
Yeah, that's what I didn't know.
yeah, there's nothing up for a vote yet. That's December 21st, I
Okay.
believe.
Sounds good.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. If I
Thank
don't
you.
see anybody, happy holidays.
Yes,
Happy
you too.
holidays.
Same to you. Thank you.
Talk to
Thank
you
you.
soon. Take care.